Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Live Prayer at Lunch. And as always, I'm your host, Isaac, lead pastor here at Inland Hills Baptist Church. We're located in Anaheim. And today we are going to talk about the same thing I talked about yesterday because the phone is an ineffective means of doing this. And so super grateful for all the days that it actually worked out while we were kind of traveling. But even then we'd have, people texting me or calling me or a battery's low or something like that. And immediately it would just kick us off the live stream. So I'm back at the desk today, very excited about just doing this again from the desktop. And so why this is important is because I can actually kind of see who's jumping on and who's engaging with us. And so as you jump on today, I wanted to just encourage you to say hello and let me know where you're watching from. Certainly want to know kind of how far this goes. Again, like I said a few days ago, we have anywhere from 50 to 60 people that jump on and see this. Certainly not all live, but over the course of the week or a few days, we'll have people that will let us know, they were here, or we'll see them online and stuff like that. And so, as I've said over the past few days, one of the great things that I would love to see happening right now is if you're jumping on, like, one, just set a calendar reminder and participate with us. We do this every weekday from 12:30 to like 12:45. It's meant to be super short, so we're a little ahead of the curve right now, but I wanted to do that to give you an opportunity to drop just in the comments any prayer requests that you may have. And you might say, Isaac, like what's something to pray for? That could be, a joy, something that you're really happy about, something that you're just extremely grateful for. And gratitude is huge, by the way. Gratitude is a huge practice to have. It could be something that's just a little mundane and there's not a lot of traction. There's not a lot of energy or passion in something. Or it may be something that's a pain. And so if you've got something that's hurting, or it's an area of hurting, a person who's hurting you, there's a lot of different areas, obviously, that we could be and ought to be praying for. And so I would just encourage you to drop that into the comments. Let me know what is something that we could be praying for. And why I'm asking that is because I would love to take some time as things come in before we get done and just pray for you. And so with that being said, obviously, if you're on right now, I would ask maybe like this video, share it. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this, give us a like, subscribe to our channel. We got some things that I'll be putting out in the next couple weeks as it relates to not like coaching, but I think it'll be some things that are helpful as you're navigating decisions from your day-to-day life, as you're making choices, as you're processing. They call it the OODA loop, right? You're observing, you're orientating, you're deciding, and you're acting. And so my hope is that some of those videos, as we begin to release those on a weekly basis, will be something that's a little bit more helpful to you. Be a little bit more structured than these are. These are meant to be not just on the fly, but they are meant to be something that is a little bit more dialogue focused and stuff like that. So, well, look, it's a little after 12:30. So for you guys that are on, I think I got Tim and Mike. Tim, what's up, man? I don't know if you're still actually on here, but it's good to see you on here. Hope things are good on the East Coast, man. It's been a minute. We need to connect for sure. And Mike, thanks for jumping on here as well. Again, if you're just jumping on, let me know where you're watching from. Say hi. Always good to be able to see. And like I was saying, I'm at the desk now, so I can actually see and interact a little bit with some of you guys that are popping on here. But it's 12:30. And so again, the focus of this, we want to talk a little bit about things that we can learn about prayer with the intent that we will pray more and grow in this particular discipline of being a follower of Jesus. And, sometimes we talk about prayer as well. We talk a lot about the disciplines of being a follower of Jesus. And as we think about prayer, we have to recognize that we don't pray to get stuff from God, though certainly he gives things as we ask. It really is about developing and cultivating a relationship. And so if you've always looked at prayer as like a checklist of something where you need to make sure God's involved in the things that you want to get out of life, or a relationship, or a job, your prayer life is going to become very, very frustrating very, very soon, because that's not really why God gave us prayer. God gave us prayer to develop a relationship with him where we're able to unburden ourselves, to unload ourselves, certainly communicate some things that we need to have done, and for others, obviously as well. But it will get frustrating very, very quick. And so the maybe not the best illustration I'll ever hear, but one of the best illustrations that I think really correlates or points to what prayer is all about is the conversations you may have with your spouse, or if you're dating the girl or the guy that you're dating. And we all know this. It's just sometimes we fail to apply this in our relationship with God. As you begin to meet someone and you don't know anything about them. My wife and I, we've been married 17 years now. And one of the things that we had to do, and life forced us to do, and we forced each other to do because we had arguments and we had shouting matches, is we had to dialogue. We had to talk and we had to exchange ideas. We had to learn how each other think. And the way that happened is by having conversations. And our marriage isn't perfect, but our marriage is in a far better place than it ever was, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, because of those conversations. And without those conversations, without me listening to her and without her listening to me, without us processing that information, thinking about it, meditating on it, and then incorporating it into our relationship, we would never be at the level that our relationship is right now. And so the same is true, right, with God. So today, I want to just, again, go back and talk a little bit about what I was talking about yesterday as it relates to the life of Nehemiah. So in Nehemiah, we're kind of still in chapter 1, and what we're looking at is this conversation, really this prayer that Nehemiah begins to unfold and begins to have and put before God as he again hears of the state of affairs of his nation. And of course, the day before last, we talked about, this brokenness, this desire. Where is the desire to have God move, to have God do something truly powerful? And after we see he's beseeching God, he's talking to him based on his character, based on what God's finding out, who God is based on what he does, and now praying because of God's character. We see that he acknowledges something about his prayer that oftentimes we fail to realize how important it is. And, the Bible doesn't really give us necessarily in this particular instance the payoff, so to speak, with regards to this practice that Nehemiah kind of exposes about his prayer life. But I know for sure we can all relate, even outside of prayer, how this principle, this practice that Nehemiah exposes about his prayer has benefited and can benefit our life. And what it is that Nehemiah, as he's talking to God, he says, look, these things that I've asked of you, these things that I've put before you day and night. And Nehemiah emphasizes or exposes in this prayer conversation with God that this is something he is bringing repeatedly before God. It's something that he is bringing consistently before God. And what's awesome about this is that Jesus makes the same case in one of the stories that he tells in the New Testament as he talks about a lady who is needing something and wanting something. But unfortunately, the person she has to go and ask is the guy or the master who could care less about her. Doesn't like her, hates her, is not interested in helping her, is not interested in giving what she wants. And so Jesus gives this kind of story about a woman who has to approach a person who's not interested in giving her what she wants because he doesn't value her, doesn't love her, doesn't like her. And yet she stays persistent in asking day and night, to the point that this guy just gets tired of hearing about it. You've heard the expression, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, this woman was the squeaky wheel. And she just kept coming back, even though he didn't want to hear it. And eventually he just got sick of it. And he's like, you know what? I've got to get rid of this woman. So I'm just going to give her what she wants. And of course, Jesus isn't saying that's how God is. He does that and asks some questions at the end of this story saying, hey, look, if a son asks his dad for bread, is he going to give him a snake? And of course not, right? I mean, if you got kids, you know this. If you want kids, you know this. If you've been a child under parenting, you know that this is not the case. Oftentimes, though parents don't always give us what we want, they certainly love to give us good things. And this again, so Jesus is illustrating there is a practice when it comes to prayer that must be day and night. Not and we're not talking about the times of your praying. What we're talking about is just the consistency to bring things to our heavenly Father, because our heavenly Father is not like that, unjust ruler. He's not like the guy that doesn't like us, isn't interested, is bothered by us, and hates us. No, he's a Father who desires relationship with, who loves us deeply and more deeply than we could ever love ourselves. That's who we are praying to. And so Nehemiah says, "Look, God, I'm bringing these things before you day and night." And I love the statement that John Maxwell says. He says, success is not made in a day. Success is made daily. And as we think about Nehemiah's exposing of this day and night principle of just consistency in bringing this before God, and we think about Jesus's lesson about the bothered ruler and the importunate prayer of the woman where she received what she asked for. I think the challenge maybe for us today, and at least the teaching point for us today would be, what have you stopped praying for? Maybe you have lacked consistency in your prayer life. Maybe you've lacked consistency. Maybe one day you started praying that God would change your heart about something, and it was a couple days or a couple hours, and it didn't change, and so you just stopped praying about it. Maybe it was a person that's not a follower of Jesus, they're outside the faith, and you begin praying for them, for opportunities to talk to them, for opportunities to have them over, for opportunities to get to know them, that he would open doors. And you prayed that way for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and you stopped. Maybe someone has asked you to pray for something for them. Maybe it's health related, maybe it's relationally related, maybe it's financially related, maybe it's health related. And you began praying for that, but you've stopped praying. And it's so funny. It's not funny to me. It's so fascinating to me. Is so many people will say, they have these struggles and they just can't see victory, and they don't feel like God's at work in their life. And you hear these struggles that they're going through, and you'll ask, "Are you praying about that?" And so often the conversation is, "Well, I was, but I haven't in a while." And I just want to challenge you today. If there is something that someone's invited you to pray about, if there is an area in your life that you've been praying for, if there is opportunity for discipleship to happen and for you to make a disciple, if there's opportunities for God to work, in your life and through your life in power, and you've stopped praying about that, I want to ask why. Why have you stopped praying about that? Why is it that you have abandoned this fundamental principle of prayer, that consistency will always produce results? Now, look, this doesn't mean that everything we always think to pray about or feel led to pray about is meant to be prayed for forever. Don't misunderstand me. Um, we will start to pray for things that are selfish, that are prideful, that are really not in our interest. But by consistently praying over those things, you will be led to stop praying for those things. So this is not pick everything up that you've ever prayed for and start praying for it again. This is recognize that day and night, recognizing that as we continue to bring these requests before God, we will see answers to prayer. God is not bothered by you. God is not bugged by you. He wants to answer prayers. And sometimes those pranswers, that's not Christmas, those answers to prayer will be stop praying about this. And there's been a lot of times where I've started to pray for something I thought was really what I should have been praying for. And God said, you need to stop praying for that. But I also know there has been a tendency for me to stop praying simply because I'm not seeing results. And that's a very different way. In fact, Nehemiah to this point has had zero reinforcement that he should still keep praying for this, and yet he brings it before him day and night. And I'm sure that woman, as she continued to bring it before this ruler who was very disinterested, I'm sure she got discouraged. And you may be discouraged right now in an area in your life where you're not seeing breakthrough or God work in powerful ways, maybe in your marriage, It may be in your career. It may be in your walk with Christ. It may be in your discipleship. It may be in your involvement in the Great Commission to make disciples and have conversations about the gospel. And I just want to say to you, if you're frustrated or a little disillusioned or a little um, discouraged in some of those areas, I want to invite you to pick those things back up and begin to consistently day in and day in, day out, begin to pray again with faith, believing that God desires and will answer that prayer. So I hope this has been a help to you. I hope that it will help you build some prayer muscles with regards to just seeing God really begin to break through in some areas in your life. Don't stop praying. Remember, success, and we'll qualify it, right? We'll say answers to prayer do not come in a day. Now, it's a blessing when they do, and sometimes that happens, but more often than not, prayer requests are not answered in a day. They are answered as we pray daily. So pick that thing back up that you've just stopped praying for because you haven't seen results, and begin to imitate Nehemiah day and night, bringing it before God. And so, again, if you've got a prayer request, I want to encourage you to drop that in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, again, if you would give us a like, a subscribe. If you're on Facebook watching this, if you would like this video, share this video with a friend. I'll bet you know, just like I know some people that have given up praying for some things. And you're kind of like, man, I bet if they would have kept praying, God could have broken through. Maybe because you've seen that in your life as well. And I'd encourage you to share that, maybe tag a friend in this video as well. Either way, I'm glad to be able to spend just a couple minutes with you here today, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 12:30. And if I can be a little selfish here, pray for me. I've got another interview tomorrow with some work and some exploration we've got going on as I continue to look for work. So I'd greatly appreciate that as well. And we look forward to seeing you this weekend. We're going to be talking about Sodom and Gomorrah as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Jude, and we'll be in part 7. So don't forget to be a part of that as well. And as always, invite a friend. Maybe invite a friend over to your house to watch it with you, or invite through the use of a watch party. That's such a great way right now to continue to engage people online. And we will look forward to seeing you guys soon. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless.